An almighty war of words has broken out between Elon Musk and the Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, after Musk claimed on Monday that the violent riots sweeping the UK meant that, quote, civil war is inevitable. So the Prime Minister slammed the comments, claiming there was no justification for it. But the billionaire owner of X, formerly Twitter, hasn't backed down, has he? After hundreds of Muslim men violently attacked a pub and an individual man in Birmingham last night, Musk today took to the social media platform to ask the Prime Minister, why aren't all communities protected in Britain? He went on to brand Starmer to...
Remember when the strategy was dignity? Remember when the labor machine convinced itself that staying silent while the world burned was a sign of maturity? That illusion just evaporated. It turns out that silence isn't a power move when you are being systematically dismantled by the loudest man on earth in front of a global audience of millions. Nothing screams leadership crisis quite like the leader of the opposition getting roasted alive by Elon Musk. Not in a parliamentary debate where rules protect you, but in the lawless Wild West of the internet where Starmer has zero jurisdiction. This wasn't just a critique, it was a public shaming. And the most damning part? Starmer wasn't even in the room to defend himself. He was likely in a strategy meeting discussing messaging discipline, while his entire political brand was being fed into a wood chipper. It's the ultimate humiliation, trying to look like a prime minister in waiting while looking like a deer in the headlights of a Tesla Cybertruck. The world didn't see a statesman holding his tongue. They saw a politician paralyzed by a new reality he doesn't understand, refuses to engage with, and cannot control.
Elon Musk gone, X turned off, and freedom of speech stamped out. Starmer himself has said he's going to look at social media laws in the wake of the riots and even revisit the act. And right on cue, of course, the Westminster elite are now circling. Guardian columnists got their knickers in a twist, saying Musk should be on trial in the UK for inciting the riots. And Keir Starmer's champagne socialist biographer, Tom Baldwin, called for regulation of social media platforms, even saying free speech was not absolute. Make no mistake, the minority racist idiots who caused the worst of these riots have opened the floodgates for a power grab of our civil liberties under this Labour government. And it's a crying shame that it's a US-based South African who's the only one with the balls to stick up for British.
Now let's talk about the agent of chaos himself, Elon Musk. This is a man who treats geopolitical stability like a side quest in a video game. He once challenged the Russian president to single combat and buy social media platforms on a whim just to change the logo. And yet, this figure, who possesses the attention span of a hyperactive algorithm, decided to focus his entire destructive beam on Keir Starmer. Why? Boredom? Spite? It doesn't matter. What matters is the result. Musk unleashed a monologue that functioned like a one-man wrecking ball aimed squarely at the Labour Party's credibility. Was Starmer there to parry the blow? Of course not. He was hiding behind press releases. Did that stop Musk from turning the opposition leader into intellectual roadkill? Not for a second. In fact, Starmer's absence made it worse. It allowed Musk to paint him not just as wrong, but as a ghost, a non-entity in the discussion of his own country's future. It was a massacre of authority, conducted with a smile and a meme.
Well, Danica, the boss of X or Twitter, Elon Musk, is in a brawl with Britain's Prime Minister, Sir Keir Starmer, who I must say is acting like a weak man trying to be strong during this crisis. Starmer tweeted, "We will not tolerate attacks on mosques or on Muslim communities," to which Musk quite reasonably replied, "Shouldn't you be concerned about attacks on all communities?" Isn't Musk right? Hasn't he put a finger on something that's angering the anti-immigration rioters who talk about two-tier police?
While Starmer was presumably somewhere safe, meticulously alphabetizing his briefing notes and rehearsing how to say working people for the 1,000th time without sounding like a malfunctioning android, Musk went full scorched earth. He didn't just critique policy, he dismantled the entire philosophy of the modern labor movement. He started with the politics, veered sharply into Starmer's flimsy economic plans like a car with cut brakes, and then looped back to casually imply that Starmer's entire leadership style is basically a corrupted file that needs to be deleted. It was relentless. Musk didn't use the polite, coded language of Westminster. He didn't say, "I disagree with the honorable gentleman." He spoke the language of the internet, brutal, direct, and devastating. He portrayed Starmer's leadership not as a bold alternative, but as a badly coded app glitch that keeps freezing just when you need it to work. The contrast was lethal. On one side, the raw, unfiltered energy of the digital age. On the other, a man who looks like he's still waiting for a fax.
You belong to a party that sent activists to America to actively plot to, and I quote, kill Elon Musk's Twitter. Labor activists in a center for countering digital hate that was set up by a certain Morgan McSweeney, happens to be Keir Starmer's chief of staff. I wonder why Elon Musk has suddenly got a really strong interest in Keir Starmer and the Labour Party. Because let's be honest, Barry, all of those statements that Labour MPs made about Donald Trump, all of those bizarre statements they made about Elon Musk, guess what? These guys don't really like that. They don't like being abused. They don't like being insulted. So they're going to call you out when you fail. Like when you fail with these white working class girls.
Here is the thing that truly terrifies the establishment. Starmer leads like he is terrified of getting a bad Yelp review. He is paralyzed by the fear of offending anyone, which results in him inspiring no one. His policies feel less like a bold strategy for a G7 nation and more like a PowerPoint presentation from 1996 that nobody paid attention to. Elon, on the other hand, treats subtlety like he treats labor unions, as if it doesn't exist. Watching Musk go off on Starmer was like watching a military-grade flamethrower take on a soggy paper napkin. There was no contest. Starmer offers caution. Musk offers conquest. Starmer offers a committee to look into the feasibility of a study. Musk offers a roadmap to Mars. When you put those two energies side by side on a screen, the British public isn't looking at a choice between left and right. They are looking at a choice between the past and the future. And right now, Starmer looks like a museum exhibit of a politician, gathering dust while the world speeds by.
Reaction, Prime Minister, to a post by Elon Musk this morning suggesting that America should liberate Britain from a tyrannical government.
Let me deal with the health crunch because it's really important. Look, in relation to that, I don't really have any comment on the particular comment that was made this morning by Musk.
Let's talk leadership, or the utter vacuum of it. Starmer projects all the charisma of a British filing cabinet. He can speak for 20 minutes, use all the correct buzzwords, and say less than a celebrity acceptance speech. He is legally accurate and emotionally dead. Meanwhile, Elon is doing mental somersaults on international TV, half the time unsure what show he is on or what time zone he is in, yet landing more blows on the Labour Party in 5 minutes than the Conservative government has managed in 5 years. When Musk hit Starmer's economic plans, he called them what they are: confusing, flimsy, and about as inspiring as a cold toast sandwich. And honestly, he's right. Starmer's entire economic philosophy seems built on promising as little as possible, smiling nervously, and hoping no one asks for the receipts. It's like he took the phrase, "don't rock the boat," and made it his entire personality. Musk just pointed at Starmer's strategy and laughed like someone watching a goat try to solve calculus. It wasn't a debate. It was a reality check.
I kid you not. How can this be real? They are releasing convicted from prison in order to put people in prison for Facebook posts.
To be fair, those are
thing.
posts that criticize the government, so they have a good reason.
They would actually, some of these posts that these ones I've seen, didn't actually criticize the government. they were seen as sort of as hate speech.
Because they noticed the society getting crappier and crappier with every year.
There were migrant gangs in England that would run around and prey on young girls. Some people found that objectionable. They were upset about that. And so they complained about it online and were sent to prison.
Let's face it, Starmer's boldest economic move so far has been timidly suggesting we maybe, possibly, consider reviewing something vaguely budget-related eventually. It's the politics of hesitation. And don't get us started on energy policy. He wants to lead Britain into a green future, but he does it like someone afraid of offending a kettle. He will declare a vague commitment to clean energy. Then the moment the press pushes back, he mumbles something about long-term strategy and scurries off like he's late for a lukewarm tofu dinner. Meanwhile, Musk is building solar-powered rockets, reinventing the global energy grid, and launching thousands of satellites just because his internet was slow one morning. Now imagine these worlds colliding. One man talking about hydrogen buses like it's 2004, trying to impress a panel of stern librarians. The other casually nuking Mars in a thought experiment while dunking on Starmer's climate agenda like a teacher grading a poorly written high school essay. It makes Labour look not just incompetent, but small, tiny, irrelevant.
I think the number of people that have been arrested for just social media posts is bananas. It's in the thousands.
Yes, several thousand people have been given prison sentences in the UK for social media posts where there was no explicit link to actual violence, but they just said it encouraged violence. We're like, well, did anyone actually do anything as a result of that media post? Well, no. But they just, and then they have a prison overcrowding situation in the UK, so they're quite literally releasing convicted people and putting people in jail.
And what about Starmer's legendary ability to dodge commitment? If fence-sitting were an Olympic sport, Keir Starmer would not only take gold, he would set a world record and then form a committee to decide if he should really accept the medal. Brexit? He was for it, then against it, then maybe a second referendum, then let's make it work. Strikes? He supports workers, just not the inconvenient ones, and definitely not on a picket line. Public ownership? A vaguely nostalgic nod, followed by a non-binding retreat. Musk, on the other hand, treats commitment like a sleep-deprived raccoon on a roller coaster. Reckless, chaotic, terrifying, and entertaining. He charges headfirst into every whim. You might not agree with him, you might even hate him, but at least he picks a direction. Starmer is still standing at the theme park gates, clutching a risk assessment form and asking focus groups if roller coasters are electorally viable in the marginal seats. It is pathetic. It is the death of political courage.
Starmer's Labour has not only become a headache to the British people. Now, Elon Musk has targeted Labour since they recently announced the painful October budget. Elon Musk didn't like Labour's implementation of the inheritance tax on the UK family farms and criticized Keir Starmer's Labour for making those changes. On X, formerly known as Twitter, Elon Musk wrote, "We should leave the farmers alone. We owe farmers immense gratitude for making the food on our table."
Let's not forget how Starmer, in all his majestic beige-flavored centrism, manages to alienate both the left and the right at the exact same time. He tells workers he is their champion, then disappears the moment a union demands actual action, ghosting them like a bad Tinder date. It's not leadership, it's a strategic vanishing act. Musk didn't need a 40-page dossier to cut through the noise. He summed it up like a wrecking ball, confused, pandering in a Marks & Spencer suit, performing Shakespearean indecision on the Westminster stage. Starmer doesn't walk the line. He builds a bureaucratic maze on it and forgets where the exit is. Then there is the little matter of vision, or in Starmer's case, the stunning lack of it. His vision is like a foggy windshield in November, blurry, dull, and slightly damp. He talks about progress, then proposes policies so uninspired they make beige look revolutionary. Meanwhile, Elon is talking about colonizing Mars and wiring human brains into computers. Insane? Yes. Dangerous? Maybe. But at least it's not boring. Musk roasted Starmer's communication style, too. Starmer delivers speeches like he is apologizing for existing. Musk's dry, condescending charm highlighted it perfectly. He suggested, without saying it outright, that Starmer has the stage presence of a malfunctioning GPS.
Second Cobra in 2 days. Is that a sign of how worried you are about the situation?
The Cobra meeting was to coordinate our response to the disorder. And I made it very clear on a number of occasions that those involved will feel the full force of the law. So we coordinated, we went through some of the numbers. Over 400 people now have been arrested, 100 have been charged, some in relation to online activity, and a number of them are already in.
Musk then wandered into the AI debate and still circled back to roasting Starmer. Talking about artificial intelligence, he joked that if we ever programmed a machine to mimic human indecision, it would basically be Keir Starmer, an algorithm of doubt wrapped in a sensible tie. And let's not ignore how uncomfortable Starmer gets under real pressure. In a crisis, he reacts like a printer jam. Blinking lights, worrying noises, no output. Musk, who thrives in chaos like a raccoon in a dumpster behind a restaurant, highlighted the mismatch perfectly. It was like comparing a soggy, wet sponge to a flamethrower. And what was Starmer's response to this global roasting? Nothing. Absolute silence. Classic move. Deny, delay, then release a lukewarm statement full of words like complexities, framework, and broad consensus. He makes inaction look like a strategy. He makes cowardice look like contemplation. But Musk saw through it, and he made sure the rest of the world saw through it too.
The owner of X, Elon Musk, has been tweeting over the past few days about your response to this crisis, about what's been going on. He claimed that civil war in the UK is inevitable. He has a powerful voice. A lot of people follow him on Twitter. Are you worried about his impact, or might he have a point about some of the things you say?
My focus is on ensuring that our communities are safe. That is my sole focus. And I think it's very important for us all to support the police.
Even Labour supporters sometimes look at Starmer like he is just a temporary placeholder until someone with a pulse shows up. Elon didn't need a political science degree to see that. He turned on a camera, connected the dots, and made it sound like he was inventing sarcasm in real time. Then came the kicker. Musk wrapped up his roast with the kind of flourish usually reserved for Bond villains and petty billionaires. He questioned why anyone would follow a man still searching for the on switch to his own convictions. Honestly, after Starmer's recent public appearances, it is a fair question. He doesn't inspire rage. He doesn't inspire excitement. He doesn't even inspire mild curiosity. He inspires the urge to check your phone to see if anyone, anywhere, is saying something bold. Musk didn't just expose Starmer's mark of vision. He turned it into live-streamed political comedy. He stripped the emperor naked and then sold tickets to the show.
Government will get on with the job of protecting victims, including child abuse, mandatory reporting, accelerating the processes. But what I won't tolerate is this discussion and debate based on lies without calling it out. What I won't tolerate is politicians jumping on the bandwagon simply to get attention, when those politicians sat in government for 14 long years, tweeting, talking, but not doing anything about it, now so desperate for attention.
It is almost poetic. The UK's opposition leader reduced to a footnote in a billionaire's spontaneous rant. He didn't lose a debate, he lost a monologue. He wasn't defeated in person, he was deleted in absentia. Musk made him look like background noise in a conversation he wasn't even invited to. The real kicker? When the most memorable thing about your leadership is how brutally someone mocked it while you weren't even there, you have a terminal problem. Starmer's cautious, bland leadership can be dismantled in real time by a man who thinks X is a good name for a social media site. Watching Elon roast Starmer was like watching a cyborg critique a toaster. One is reckless, unpredictable, arrogant. The other is Starmer, quietly humming in the corner, hoping no one notices he's unplugged. In modern political theater, Starmer performs like an understudy who forgot his lines and wandered onto the wrong stage. Meanwhile, Musk crashes through like a rogue tech bro with a flamethrower, turning everything into a chaotic TED Talk. It was glorious. Not because Musk is noble, he's as subtle as a wrecking ball in a crystal shop, but because someone finally asked the question we've all wanted to scream. Does this guy actually do anything? Musk answered with a Tesla-sized wrecking ball of chaotic brilliance. Cheers to Elon, the only man who can torch a political platform without policy, effort, or even showing up. Condolences to Starmer, the only politician ever publicly vaporized without attending the debate, overshadowed by a billionaire live tweeting from a private jet. Now that is a political legacy.